In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. I mean, this is like a really exciting text. So read it with like just a little bit of emotion for me. Like, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Okay? So who wants to get 1 through 10? 1 through 10, there we go. 11 through 9, or 11, let's go 11 through 18. Yes, 11 through 18. 19 through 25. Yes, 19 through 25 over there. 26. Let's go 26 all the way through to 3.
Andrew Mott.
Yep, there you go. All right, start when you are ready.
Okay.
Yep.
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of the Lord was hovering over the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. God saw that the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and he called the darkness night. And there was evening and there was morning, the first day. And God said, "Let there be expanse between the waters." So separate water from water. So God made the expanse and separated the water under the expanse from the water above it. And it was so. God called the expanse sky. There was evening, there was morning, and there was the second day. And God said, "Let the water under in the sky be gathered into one place, and let dry ground appear." And it was so. So God called the dry ground land, gathered waters and called seas, and God saw that it was good.
And God said, "Let the earth sprout vegetation, plants yielding seed, and fruit trees bearing fruit in which is their seed, each according to its kind on earth." And so it was. The earth brought forth vegetation, plants yielding seed according to their own kinds, and trees bearing fruit in which is their seed, each according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning the third day. And God said, "Let there be lights in the expanse of the heavens to separate the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. And let them be lights let them be lights in the expanse of the heavens to give light upon the earth." And it was so. And God made the two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night, and the stars. And God set them in the expanse of the heavens to give light on the earth, to rule over the day and over the night, and to separate the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the fourth day.
Let me stop you real quick. Do you guys notice how fast this is happening? I mean, it's like no effort at all, right? Okay. Pick up.
And God said, "Let the water teem with living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth, across the expanse of the sky." So God created the great creatures of the sea, and every living and moving thing with which the water teems, according to their kinds, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. God blessed them and said, "Be fruitful and increase in number, and fill the water and the sea, and let the birds increase on the earth." And there was evening, and there was morning, the fifth day. And God said, "Let the land produce living creatures according to their kind, livestock, creatures that move along the ground, and wild animals, each according to its kind." And it was so. God made the wild animals according to their kinds, the livestock according to their kinds, and the creatures that move along the ground according to their kinds. And God saw that it was good.
Then God said, "Let us make man in our image after our likeness. And let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over the livestock, and over all of the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth." So God created man in his own image. In the image of God he created him, male and female he created them. And God blessed them, and God said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over every living thing that moves on the earth." And God said, "Behold, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is on the face of all of the earth, and every tree with seed in its fruit. You shall have them for food. And to every beast of the earth, and to every bird of the heavens, and to everything that creeps on the earth, everything that has the breath of life, I have given every green plant." And it was so. And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day. Do I keep going?
Yeah, we're going through 2, 3.
Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the hosts of them. And on the seventh day God finished his work that he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work that he had done. So God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it God rested from all his work that he had done in creation.
Yeah. I bet he needed a rest. I mean, that's a lot. That is a ton of activity in one chapter. And it's so interesting. I stopped in the middle to note that it happens so fast. And a lot of times, especially in the Old Testament, when we read passages like this, you can learn a lot about what the author is trying to say by how fast a text moves. Okay? Like how fast the activities are happening. Like an author will slow down to narrow you in on something, but then he'll speed it up. And I just think it's so interesting in Genesis 1 that he speeds it up so fast to show that this is not a problem at all for God. Because one of the things that the writer of Genesis is trying to do is he's trying to counteract a lot of what Israel learned in the Exodus. So you can imagine, when Israel is coming out of Egypt, all right, we got like Egypt kind of down here, and then Israel's up here. So Israel's down here, and they're wandering through the desert, and then they end up kind of over here at Mount Sinai. All right, rough drawing. I'm not an artist. I am a good singer, though, right, Sarah? So you can imagine if you were to go on a trip across the country, and it were to take, just a number of weeks, and you were to stop in different places, and you were to talk to people about their life and things that they had experienced and ways that they believed about things, do you think you would be a different person after that trip? Do you think that you would maybe think different thoughts about some things? Right? Well, it's the same thing with the people of the Exodus. When they left Egypt, they picked up all sorts of people groups along this trip. And they learned about all different gods. There were literally like hundreds of gods at this point. And so when Moses is writing is writing Genesis, after the Exodus, he's writing to a people who believe in a lot of different gods. And he's trying to tell them, no, I am the only God that there is. I am the only one worthy of worship. And how relevant is that to us today? We worship at a lot of different altars today. You guys have got school, which is good, but it can become an idol. I'm a running coach, and I coach runners who are really good, but there's times where it can become an idol. And they need to know that God is the only God worthy of worship. And it's really interesting. He shows us this throughout the passage in just really subtle ways that we wouldn't pick up just walking through it the way that we just did. So we're going to go back through it now and look at some of these ways. It's a little under a handout, kind of in the middle of the handout. I'm going to jump all over this handout, so just don't worry about it. This lesson is in process. The first thing he does to show that he is powerful over the other gods is he separates the waters. Genesis 1, 6 through 10. It says, and God said, let there be expanse between the waters, separate water from water. So God made the expanse and separated the water under the expanse of the water above it. So basically he's saying, hey, I separate the water down here and the sky up here. So, in the ancient Near East, which is this little area of the world at this time, it was commonly believed that there was a God who stood all day long, 24/7, going, so that the water stayed down here and the sky stayed up here. And if for whatever reason that God were to fail, it would come together. And we would be no more. And here's God saying, I just did it. I just made it. And it was so, and it was good. Don't bother worshiping that God because he is useless. Okay? The next one, 1:14 through 19. Then God said, let there be lights in the expanse of the sky to separate the day from the night. Let them serve as signs to mark seasons and days and years. And let them be lights in the expanse of the sky to give light on the earth. So, another common practice at this time was for there to be gods of the sun, the moon, and the stars. And people worship these gods. I mean, they were like important. If you were going to make crops, you need the sun. And if there's a lot of clouds, you're going to start worshiping that sun god so that the sun comes out and you can have crops, right? Okay? Very intentionally, it's just curious that Moses leaves out the names sun, moon, and stars, and he says greater light, lesser light, as if to say, don't worship the sun, moon, and stars. Worship the God who created the greater light and the lesser light, because he did so, and we don't have to worry about it. He put them in place to govern the night and the day. We don't need to worship gods to bring that about. The next thing, this is kind of cool. I usually skip over this one, but it's kind of cool. 21. It says, so God created the great creatures of the sea and every living and moving thing with which the water teems according to their kinds, and every winged bird according to its kind. So there was a great myth at this time that there were these great creatures of the sea who, if you weren't careful, and if you weren't like worshiping the gods who controlled the creatures of the sea, that if you were anywhere near the sea, that these creatures would jump up out of the water and they would swallow you whole and you would die. I mean, it sounds kind of silly. But here's God saying, so I created the great creature of the sea and every living and moving thing with which the water teems, according to their kinds. So here's God saying, hey, you know that thing that you're really scared of? It's my pet. I made it. It's not scary. It's for the good of the water and the earth. It's not scary. Don't worship the God who controls it. I do. 1:27. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created a male and female. He created them. So it's interesting, this image of God thing, and somebody brought that up earlier, that talks about the image of God in this, and it's absolutely, that is one of the biggest things in this passage. Because at this time, in this area of the world, especially in Egypt, it was thought that only the kings were made in the image of God. So literally, like King Tut, you guys study about him in world history? King Tutankhamun? Literally, Tutankhamun means image of the living God common. So he's a king, he's royalty, and he's called the image of God. But here's God calling Adam and Eve and you and I the image of God. He's saying, hey, you know that title that you ascribe to people of great importance and people who are in royal positions? Well, that's true of you too. I mean, what does that do for you? I mean, what does that do for you? I mean, let's hear back from you a little bit. What does that do for you when you hear that God has called you the image of God, when that title at this time was only applied to royalty? Yeah.
That means we're as important as royalty to him.
Yeah. Absolutely. What else does it make you think?
It sometimes makes me think about how I don't live up to his image
Huh.
and those things.
Yeah. Because the Bible calls us to holiness, right?